This forgotten skyscraper is 1 mile high, and today I'm going to build it in Minecraft. The building was proposed in 1956 by Frank Lloyd Wright, but it was deemed impossible to build at the time. Even today, the tallest building in the world, the Burj Khalifa, is only half its height. I started with a rough outline of the build, which is something I've been doing a lot more recently, and due to the fact that there isn't a lot of documentation about this build online, this was pretty much essential for actually building it properly. My strategy going into this was to create lines for each floor, place the glass, concrete, and detail each section, and Axiom and World Edit did help quite a bit, but I did end up having to place a lot of blocks manually or have to use World Edit in a much smaller scale, which barely sped up the process. The replay makes it look like it took no time at all, but I did spend about 7.5 hours on this build. It wasn't that difficult to actually build, but it was quite tedious having to build each line manually. If you're curious, this is what it was like from my point of view, and yeah, there probably was a faster way to do this without using Axiom, but I got into a rhythm, so that's kinda just what I was doing. This build was quite fun, especially since there aren't a lot of source images, and they're just concept art to go off of. Not having to stick exactly to a real-life example is super fun, and honestly, this is probably one of my favorite skyscrapers so far. Here, you can see just how long I was placing the lines for, but this would make the next major step in the build so much easier. Calling this build tedious is an understatement. Because I wasn't able to copy or paste at a large scale, it took much longer to build. My main strategy was to focus on one section at a time, and also to just focus on the left side. This means I would be able to copy it over when I was done, effectively cutting my work in half. The shape of the build caused me to have to fill in each section a little bit at a time, but this looks really cool in the replays rather than just filling it in all at once. Here, for each section, you can see the 3 steps I used, and like I mentioned before, it looks awesome sped up. Now I just have to copy the left side, flip it, and paste it. This build being mostly symmetrical is actually really nice. Now all that was left to add some little details and the spire, which didn't take long at all. In one of my previous videos I built the Kingdom Tower, and I didn't really like how the spire turned out, but I think I really nailed it here. I almost didn't build the base to the skyscraper, but it would have just looked so awkward if it was just the building. So I spent about half an hour and just built this simple 3-level structure that was in one of the proposed images. It's quite simple, but it adds a lot to the build. I know this is a shorter video, but I thought the skyscraper was really cool, so I just had to build it. Don't worry though, I have a lot of bangers planned for the rest of the summer, so make sure to subscribe.